Record 19. The infinitesimal of the third order. From under the forehead. Over the railing. There, in the strange corridor, lighted by the dotted line of dim little electric lamps. Or no. Later, when we had already reached one of the nooks in the courtyard of the ancient house, she had said, "Day after tomorrow." That day after tomorrow is today, and everything seems to have wings and to fly. The day flies, and our integral, too, already has wings. We finished placing the motor and tried it out today, without switching it in. What magnificent, powerful salvos! To me, each of them sounded like a salute in honor of her, the only one, in honor of today. At the time of the first explosion, about a dozen loafing numbers from the dock stood near the main tube, and nothing was left of them, save a few crumbs and a little soot. With pride, I now write that this occurrence did not disturb the rhythm of our work for even a second. Not a man shrank. We and our lathes continued our rectilinear or curved motions with the same sparkling and polished precision as before, as if nothing had happened. As a matter of fact, what did happen? A dozen numbers represent scarcely 100 millionth part of the United States. For practical consideration, that is but an infinitesimal of the third order. Pity, the result of arithmetical ignorance, was known to the ancients. To us, it means absurd. It also seems droll to me that yesterday I was thinking, even relating in these pages about a grey blot. All that was only the softening off the surface, which is normally as hard as diamond, like our walls. There is an ancient saying, shooting beams at a stone wall. 16 o'clock. I did not go for the supplementary walk. Who knows, she might come now, when the sun is so noisily bright. I am almost the only one in this room. Through the walls full of sunshine, I see for a distance to the right and to the left, and below strings of other rooms, repeating each other as if in a mirror, hanging in the air and empty. Only on the bluish stairway, stripped by the golden ink of the sun, a thin grey shadow is seen rising. Already I hear steps, and I see through the door, and I feel a smile pasted to my face like a plaster. But it passed to another stairway, and down. The click of the switchboard. I threw myself to that little white slit, and an unfamiliar male number. A consonant means a male number. The elevator groaned and stopped. A big, slovenly, slanting forehead stood before me, and the eyes, they impressed me strangely. It seemed as if the man talked with his eyes, which were deep under the forehead. "Here is a letter from her, for you," from under the awning of the forehead. "She asked that everything, as requested in the letter, without fail." This, too, from under the forehead, from under the awning, and he turned, looked about. "No, there's nobody, quickly, the letter." He put the letter in my hand and went out without a word. A pink check fell out of the envelope. It was hers, her check, her tender perfume. I felt like running to catch up with that wonderful under the forehead one. A tiny note followed the check from the envelope. 3 lines. The check, lower the curtains without fail, as if I were actually with you. It is necessary that they should think that I am very, very sorry. I tore the note into small bits. A glance at the mirror revealed my distorted, broken eyebrows. I took the check and was ready to do with it as I had done with the note. She asked for everything, as requested in the letter, without fail. My arms weakened and the hands loosened. The check was back on the table. She is stronger than I, stronger than I. It seemed as if I were going to act as she wished. Besides, however, it is a long time before evening. The check remained on the table. In the mirror, my distorted, broken eyebrows. Oh, why did I not have a doctor's certificate for today? I should like to go and walk without end around the green wall, and then to fall on my bed to the bottom of. Yet I had to go to the auditorium number 13, and I should have to get hold of myself so as to bear up for 2 hours. 2 hours without motion, at a time when I wanted to scream and stamp my feet. The lecture was on. It was very strange to hear from the sparkling tube of the phono lecturer, not the usual metallic voice, but a soft, velvety, mossy one. It was a woman's voice, and I seemed to have a vision of the woman, a little, hook-like old woman, like the one at the ancient house. The ancient house! Suddenly, from within me, a powerful fountain of. I had to use all my strength to control myself, so as not to fill the auditorium with screams. The soft, mossy words were piercing me, yet only empty words about children and child protection reached my ear. I was like a photographic plate. Everything was making its imprint with a strange, senseless precision on me. The golden scythe, which was nothing more than the reflection of light from the loudspeaker of the lecture apparatus, under the loudspeaker a child, a living illustration. It was leaning toward the loudspeaker, a fold of its infinitesimal unit in its mouth, its little fist clenched firmly, its thumb squeezed into the fist, a light fluffy pleat of skin at the wrist. Like a photographic plate, I was taking in the image, the impression of all this. Now I saw how its naked leg hung over the edge of the platform. The pink fan of its finger waved in the air. 1 more minute, 1 second, and the child would be on the floor. A female scream, a wave of translucent wings, her uniform on the platform. She caught the child. Her lips clung to the fluffy pleat of the baby's wrist. She moved the child to the middle of the table and left the platform. The imprints were registering in me. A pink crescent of a mouth, the horns downward, eyes like small blue saucers filled with liquid. It was 090, and as if reading a consequential formula, I suddenly felt the necessity, the naturalness of that insignificant occurrence. She sat down behind me, somewhat to my left. I looked back. She quietly removed her gaze from the table and the child and looked straight into mine. Within again, she, I, the table on the platform, 3 points. And through those 3 points, lines were drawn, a projection of some as yet unforeseen events. Later, I went home through the green dusky street, which seemed many-eyed because of the electric lights. I heard myself tick-tocking like a clock, and the hands of that clock seemed to be about to pass a figure. I was going to do something, something that would cut off every avenue of retreat. She wants somebody, whom I do not know, to think she is with me. I want her. What to do? What do I care what she wants? I do not want to be alone behind the curtains, and that is all there is to it. From behind came sounds of a familiar gate, like splashing in a ditch. I did not need to look back. I knew it was S. He would follow me to the very door, probably. Then he would stay below on the sidewalk, and he would try to drill upward into my room with his boring eyes until the curtains would fall, concealing something criminal. Was he my guardian angel? No, my decision was made. When I came into my room and turned on the light, I could not believe my eyes. 090 stood at my table. Or to be more exact, she was hanging like a creased empty dress. She seemed to have no density, no spring beneath the dress. Her arms and legs were springless. Her voice was hanging and springless. About my letter, did you receive it? Yes. I must know your answer. I must. Today. I shrugged my shoulders. I enjoyed looking into her blue eyes, which were filled with tears, as if she were the guilty one. I lingered over my answer. With pleasure, I pricked her. Answer? Well, you are right, undoubtedly, in everything. Then she tried to cover the minute tremor with a smile, but it did not escape me. Well, all right, I shall I shall leave you at once. Yet she remained drooping over the table, drooping eyelids, drooping arms and legs. The pink check of the other was still on the table. I quickly opened this manuscript, we, and with its pages covered, and with its pages I covered the check, trying to hide it from myself rather than from O. See, here, I'm still busy writing. Already 101 pages. Something quite unexpected comes out in this writing. In a voice, in a shadow of a voice. And do you remember how the other day on the seventh page, and it dropped. The tiny blue saucers filled the borders. Silently and rapidly, the tears ran down her cheeks. And suddenly, like the dropping of the tears, rustling forth words. I cannot. I shall leave you in a moment. I shall never again. And I don't care. Only I must have a child from you. Give me a child, and I will leave. I will. I saw she was trembling all over beneath her uniform, and I felt I too would soon would. I put my hands behind my back and smiled. What? You desire to go under the machine of the well-doer? Like a stream her words ran over the dam. I don't care. I shall feel it for a while within me. I want to see, to only see once the little fold of skin here at the breast, like that one on the table in the auditorium. Only for one day. 3 points. She, I, and a little fist with a fluffy fold of skin there on the table. I remember how once, when I was a child, they took me up on the accumulating tower. At the very top, I bent over the glass railing of an opening in the tower. Below, people seemed like dots. My heart contracted sweetly. What if, on that occasion, I only clenched my hands around the railing? Now, I jumped over. So you desire, being perfectly aware that her eyes were closed as if the sun were beating straight into her face, a wet, shining smile. Yes, yes, I want it. Quickly, I took out the pink check of the other from under the manuscript, and down I went to the controller on duty. 090 caught my hand, screamed out something, but what it was, I understood only later, when I returned. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, hands firmly clasped about the knees. Is it is it her check? What does it matter? Well, it is hers. Yes. Something cracked. It must have been the springs of the bed, for 090 made a slight motion only. She remained sitting, her hands upon her knees. Well, quick. I roughly pressed her hand. A red spot was left on her wrist. Tomorrow it would become purple. Where the fluffy, infantile fold. I turned the switch. My thoughts went out with the light. Darkness, a spark, and I had jumped over the railing, down